You let one ant stand up to us, then they all might stand up. Those puny little ants outnumber us 100 to 1. And if they ever figure that out, there goes our way of life. It's not about food. It's about keeping those ants in line. That's why we're going back.
Does anybody else want to stay?
Let's ride!
All right. It's good to have you guys back on a Tuesday night in now very, very late April. It's the 21st. It's the 21st of April, 2026. We're broadcasting live from the old parachute factory here in New York and broadcast live around the world. Wherever the hell you're watching, on whatever day you're watching, on whatever platform you're watching, it could be 150 years from now. And I am not being in any way, shape, or form bullshitting, finding things to say. Somebody right now is listening to this. I don't know how. 150 years from now. And I just want to say hello. And isn't it weird? I've been dead for a long time. And why are you listening? What is it? Is it some kind of a book report? Did I actually do something memorable? Did you find me? Well, how did you find me? How did my archive survive? I wish there was a way that you can send me a message back. If we have any time travelers out there, please, by all means, send me a message. And maybe we can open up a time traveler line one night. I'd love to hear all the people who are maybe in this audience who are time travelers. But for those of you who are listening to this years and years and years into the future, just know that these were the good old days. No matter how stressed out we woke up in the morning from time to time, no matter how poor the quality of sleep was and whatever the hell you were thinking about having to pay or wanting to achieve, these were the good old days. And I should be cozy about that right now. Anyway, it's going to be a great night. We have RJ Williams coming on the show. We're going to be talking about casinos because, RJ has a really interesting past. Of course, he is a reformed man of God and a good friend of mine, an illusionist, but we're going to talk about that in just a second. There's going to be some news, just random news mixed into tonight's broadcast as well. In the second half of the show, after RJ departs, we'll do a couple of random stories while we take on your calls, and I'd love to hear some of your casino stories, whether or not you have been banned from a casino. Or do you have any inside baseball about how casinos work, or what you have known, what you have seen? Any kind of casino story that is going to be relevant to tonight's show, okay? Which is how to beat the system if it could be beaten. How to assess the system. What is really working against you when you walk into a casino anywhere? And as far as people who live in the Northeast of the United States, then you know that that your options have just expanded a little bit more. You don't have to go up into Uncasville or whatever the hell it's called, Connecticut, to go to Mohegan Sun, which I love Mohegan Sun. I've never been to Foxwoods before. I've been to Mohegan Sun plenty for concerts, just for hanging out, whatever the hell. But New York, something's happening in New York that hasn't happened in hundreds of years, but we'll get to that in a second. This is a story that is being passed around right now And the more people I click on to see in the comment sections, the more it seems like it actually happened, and it's bad news. But there are early reports here, according to Red Panda Koala over here, but I've seen it so many other places, that David Wilcock, the paranormal UFO guy, that he's taken his life, his own life. I don't know what the hell happened. It's starting to get around, and it's upsetting to hear. I mean, I haven't seen anything from him in a long, long time. I know that he's still live regularly, and I think he does a lot of work with Coast to Coast or something like that. But this was awful. This is awful to hear, and I wonder what kind of details are going to come out about this. What's this? Emergency communications specialist who took the call suspected the caller was experiencing mental health crisis. This is about the actual dispatch. Deputies arrived around approximately 11:02 a.m. and made contact with a male outside of a residence who was holding a weapon. Within minutes of deputies arriving, he used the weapon on himself. He was pronounced deceased at the scene. So I don't know what to believe about this, and I don't know, even if it's confirmed that this horrible thing has happened, I have to imagine that not very many people are going to be settled on why this happened for a long time, if ever. Because we are also just in the middle of so much stuff, aside from all the scientists and the NASA people, the nuclear scientists and all that shit that are just disappearing. In a very, I mean, a lot of this, I wish I had a line on David Paulides. I have tried with no luck over the years to get David Paulides on the show, because a lot of this stuff has a very missing 411 kind of a feel to it. Just my thoughts on it. But that's what's going on. Because it's not even just the nuclear scientists and all that other stuff, but there's been quite a few just ufologists that have been in the mix that are just gone, and perhaps some of them could just be natural or whatever the hell else is going on in their lives. You don't know, but yeah, the cluster is crazy, and this is just bad news. You don't want to hear shit like this. You really don't. So there's that. Well, maybe we can get some updates on that in the second half. I don't know. I saw it just a few minutes before I went live here, and I'm sure that's going to be a buzz in some circles. Here's another thing for you, though, and this is going to give us some time. This is going to give us a nice little segue into tonight's main topic. That's gambling, and it's going to be a good one tonight. I can't wait to ask these questions. The first New York City casino to offer live table games sets opening day. Okay, so if you're from around the area, you can go to the racetrack in Yonkers, or you can go to a couple like that. I believe Empire City. I've never been there. It was all video poker. It's all slot machines. So in the state of New York, you could find a place to play slots for a long time now. But table games was a no. You can go to racing, horse racing, chariot races, all that stuff in New York. But you could not find yourself a proper poker table that wasn't in somebody's basement or the back room of a deli. First NYC casino to offer live table games opening day. Big week for gamblers is in the cards. New York City first ever full-fledged casino offering live table games will open next Tuesday at Resorts World next to Aqueduct Racetrack in Queens. Queens-bred rapper Nas will attend the ribbon cutting and ceremonial throw of the first dice after Genting-owned Resorts World was one of the first bidders awarded a state license last December to offer live table games. See, this is the big thing here, and it doesn't surprise me, because it says, what is this? How many years? Is it forever? Where the hell is it? We'll get to that in a second. Resorts World, a Malaysian headquartered company, has been licensed to operate slot games at its facility for more than a decade, but will now be able to offer 200 live table games such as Blackjack, Craps, Baccarat, and Roulette on its renovated third floor. New York City has never seen anything like what we are planning for April 28th. said Robert DeSalvio, president of Genting America's East. Once final testing is complete, live table games will be open and operating right there in Queens for the first time in history of New York City. We're talking about hundreds of years. We're ready to welcome New Yorkers to this exciting new experience. Do you know what it's going to be like? The security in this place is going to be incredible. You're going to have like soldiers standing over your shoulder. The expansion adds 1,250 new jobs, including 950 new table game dealers, most of whom completed training over the past week. In total, Resorts World now employs 2,200 people and is slated to grow to more than 2,700 workers by summer. And yeah, when the casino project is completed, they will have 6,000 slot machines, 800 live table games, and a total of 10,800 gaming positions. A total of 2,000 hotel rooms, building on 400 existing units at its Hyatt's Regency, a new 7,000-seat multi-purpose concert hall, more than 12 acres of new public green space, and full-day spa and innovation campus. So this is all going to be in Queens. I bet you any money the Native Americans in Connecticut are pissed off. Pissed off. I wonder what's going to happen to Mohegan Sun. It's a little out of the way. It's about 2 hours. Anybody from this part of the country, the tri-state area over here, where you got tens of millions of people in New Jersey and New York and Connecticut, the only real option you had was going up into Connecticut, maybe into Pennsylvania if you wanted to, but Mohegan Sun, that's going to cut in a lot. I wonder what the hell the Indians are going to be really upset. They're going to be really upset. The security is going to be nuts. And again, this is what it comes down to for me. When cannabis started getting recreational, when we started getting into that, and RJ Williams should be popping on any second now. When we start getting into cannabis recreational legislation and all that stuff, this is what it's really all about. Remember, you've got a governor who was essentially daring people to leave the state, and now that they did, she wants to put in place essentially a hostage tax to keep people from leaving. One last lashing across the back to keep people from leaving. This is a state, blue states especially, are desperate for money. They're desperate for money, no matter how much is given to them, because their ideas, even on a state level, are so ridiculous and lofty. There's no end to it. There's no end to it. There's no holding steady and making and allowing people to grow with their ambitions and with their visions for a small new business or something like that. It's never about giving people anything. It's about, okay, let's choke people off. Let's destroy the economy. And then let's start legalizing every vice that we can find. Even though we can have the conversation about cannabis, how much, compared to other things, is it a vice or is it just something? Anything could be a vice in that respect. But when you go and you create a lively black market for something, whether it should be illegal or not, for example, the Volstead Act or something like that, and making the country dry in the 1920s, and then and essentially emboldening and creating what was so much of the most powerful crime syndicates out there who were dealing in booze and bootlegging and all that other shit. It says whatever the government gets involved in and making something illegal, they always create a black market for it. And they stand on whatever principles they had at first. Maybe it was well-founded, whatever. And then eventually this happens. Let's let people open up dispensaries so we can tax people on overpriced weed and gummies. And now it's this. Now, of course, after hundreds of years of New York City being in existence, of course, after hundreds of years, we are now finally opening up to gambling. Everybody's going to be coming down there to play blackjack. I have no problem with blackjack, but it's just this is just I don't know. I don't see it as progress. I see it as desperation, and it's just we need more money. We need more money. So that's that. That's where we're at in New York. But then it got me thinking about casinos in general. Because I saw this, I said, "Oh man, well, I know a guy that I want to bring on for this. I know a guy that I want to bring on to talk about this because he's been in the business a little bit. Now, the casino business is not something he was really in, but it was a part of his other job when he was moonlighting. He should be showing up any second now. I thought he'd be here 5 minutes ago. When he was moonlighting as a bank robber in New York City. You know, now they have yet to make bank robbery legal in New York City, but I'd have to imagine that New York is going to become so desperate for funds that they might actually start saying, "Hey, listen, you know, if you go rob a bank in New York City, as long as you give us a cut of it, then it's fine. We're going to legalize bank robbery as long as we're able to tax you for everything that you've earned." That's where states like New York go. That's what their legalization movements are all about. Okay. But that's what we have tonight. We have a wonderful guy, good friend of mine, RJ Williams is here from the streets of New York to the stage of illusion. Tonight's guest, RJ, a master illusionist, a creator of magic tricks, master of sleight of hand, light bulb eating record holder, set that record on my show in 2012. And reformed bank robber. Like I said, a reformed man of God who pulled off one of the wildest crime sprees in recent New York City history. That didn't hurt nobody, by the way. Back in 2012, the then 22-year-old magician hit a string of banks across Brooklyn, Manhattan, using sleight of hand tactics and just a little bit of balls instead of guns. Never anything like that. And in 2025, RJ, we were able to finally link up with him again after that 12 years, and we were able to just ask all the questions that we wanted to ask. It was a wonderful night with me and Anthony. You could go check that out. It's in the archives. So it was a wonderful story of magic and madness and redemptions. But tonight, RJ is back with us, back to break down his adventures in casinos, famous casino heists, and the art of card counting and other things. What's going on? RJ, how you feeling?
Oh, good to be back. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, it's good to have you back. You know, dude, it's always every time I say, you know what, let me just go grab an article of one of RJ's articles from back in 2012. Every time I go and search your name just to grab something, I find something new. And this one's from NBC. Just this one just straight up calls you glass eater. I'm sure you've seen this one. You had to have. Mm-hmm. Glass eater arrested in bank robbery spree. I was looking at it, and of course, at the end here, his prior claim to fame was eating a glass light bulb in 53 seconds. No way. By the time,
I might hit them up and have them change it.
You're going to have to, dude, because by the time you were hanging out with us at the first studio, your light bulb record was already like 34 or something like that. You broke the 34-second record with us. Mm-hmm. So they have you at 53 seconds. That's child's play. You can have 2 light bulbs in 53 seconds. Anyway, so how's everything been?
Good. Just research.
Well, you're always hanging out with us on Friday mornings with the with the B-sides. I love that. It's great to have you on here tonight. And last night we were talking about memory hold news stories, and the one that became the centerpiece of the evening was the McDonald's Monopoly game scandal. And it got me excited when I was leaving here, and I was just kind of reflecting on the night last night. What the hell? Why did everything just go out over here? What the fuck just happened? Did you just see that? All the lights went off?
I didn't do it.
I know it wasn't you. Are you sure? Oh, why is it? Hold on, wait a second. Everything's all out of place. I had the jester hat over here. Okay, I'll figure that out in a second. Anyway, when I left here the last night, I started getting excited. I said, this is great timing. It always works out this way. Because to follow it up with, I got you tonight. We're going to go from fast food games of chance to the big show, casinos. Now, this is, you teased me a little bit on this. This is an untold story, part of the story from 2012, that whole timeline with you. Little did I know that you were making visits to casinos at that time as well. You want to tell a little bit about that story?
So that episode with Anthony and you and myself, obviously, I was saying how I told a number of people I was robbing banks, and so for those who I wasn't, in close circles with, if they started to ask, "Hey, how are you getting all this money?" I wanted to have an alibi, so I said, "Let me just go to the casino and actually use the money, and whatever I come home with will be money that I have from the casino, technically." So, so what I did was I learned. Well, I've always liked blackjack, but I've learned how to do this really well, and then that's what I played at the casinos.
Okay, so see, first of all, I love blackjack too. So essentially, the casino was a way for you to wash your ill-gotten
Right.
gains into legitimacy by claiming them as winnings.
Yep.
Very smart. Very smart. I don't know what I would have done to wash all my bank robbery winnings. I don't know, but that obviously is smart now. But now the whole point here though is that if you take the gains from the banks and you go into the casino, you're going into a place where, at least for a little bit of time, you can only guarantee some probabilities in your favor, or slightly in your favor, for a little bit of time. I really do believe if you're in a casino for a short amount of time, you get in, you get out, and you're playing well. You can win a nice amount of money quick. But no matter how much you win at first, you might also lose a lot of money quick. But no matter how much you win up front, every hour you stay in there, the chances of you
The math
leaving,
balances out.
oh hell yeah, it always does. So how did you mitigate that? Just at first saying, okay, well, I've already put my life on the line going into all these, these banks in Brooklyn and Manhattan. But how am I going to preserve this the best I can from just being lost in my efforts to wash this into legitimacy?
Well, first you have to remember it's not earned money, so I don't really lose anything if I lose it.
Correct. Good job. That's a good one.
So, so yeah, so when I realized that there's a bus that goes straight to Atlantic City, I said, all right, I'll do that. It costs me nothing to go there, and I'll just learn blackjack. I learned the basic strategy, and yeah, and then I
I
just
got that here.
stuck with. All right, so let me see. This one is exactly the one that I learned, and the reason why is 2 deck blackjack versus 8 deck or 6 deck blackjack, which means it's a little easier for me to sort of gauge instead of having to count cards. That means it's less effort. I don't look like I'm trying to keep track of things. So anyway, this is exactly the
I used to know
blackjack chart.
this chart.
And then
I did pretty good back in the day, but this is just something everybody who goes into a casino should know. To be honest, it's just like you said, basic.
Basic.
Right? Yeah.
So so yeah, the thing with me, and you know this from how I did the banks and everything I've done since, is I like systems. I like things that I can figure out, and then once I get comfortable with it, then I start to break away from it from time to time. So if I feel lucky, or if I feel like the odds are in my favor, I'll break that. So so after I played oh, let me back up a bit. So I would go to the casinos, but remember I only did banks for a month. So it was maybe after the first week is when I started to go to casinos, and I would go on the weekends. So this meant I only went 3 times before I got arrested. So in those 3 times, the first time I got used to casinos. I hadn't been to casinos before. By the second time, I got comfortable with the whole thing, and by the third time, I was making moves that people were saying. The croupier would say, that sort of goes against basic strategy, and so this would be things like splitting tens, doubling down on twenties. So one of the funny stories is I had a friend who played poker. So he's in a poker tournament. I go to get the room key, and he goes, "Did you hear about this guy who was splitting tens and getting twenties and blackjacks, or who was hitting twenties and getting 21s?" I said, "Yeah, that was me." He goes, you're the guy who's doing all that stuff. So it's once I get comfortable with the system, I can break away for a moment and come right back to it.
Yeah, splitting tens was usually when I got away from a table. Usually it was something I would get to, if every once in a while I would be at a table. Well, there was one time in the Bahamas that we were down there at Atlantis, but everything else was up in Mohegan Sun. And whenever like a newlywed couple on a honeymoon or something like that would sit down and say, let's play some blackjack. The second I saw anybody split tens, I just left. I said, okay, they're going to screw up the whole table. This is just going to be very sloppy. And but that's interesting. Of course, if you're trying to create a system or modify a system, you got to do what you got to do to see what works. And I guess screw everybody else. They can find another table to go
to. No, I wouldn't leave people like that. It would usually be if I felt that the dealer was going to bust anyway.
Mm-hmm.
So I can split my hand and just play two because I know they're going to bust. Because like the chart you showed they have to stay on soft 17. That means that if they have a 16, they have to hit.
Right.
So if I know that so if they get anything, if they have a 10 face down, then that means anything above a 5, they've busted. That kind of thing. So I'm sort of keeping that.
And of course, that's basic. That's something you don't need to. There's nothing really magic about that. That is just
right.
It's something everybody should study, and so it's automatic, and you can have a little bit more fun with your betting strategies. We'll get into that in just a little bit. But let's talk about the ecosystem within a casino first, because you're a guy who designs magic tricks. I'm sure you've had to consider the blocking on a stage, all types of visual effects and things to enhance a production or something like that. But since you're an illusionist, let's talk about this. Can you talk about all the ways, the significant things that you picked up on and that you were able to confirm about the environment, the ecosystem of the casino? I know a few things off the top of my head, especially when it comes to influencing the mind and making people more suggestible. Everybody knows you're not going to find windows anywhere. You're very rarely going to find a clock. Anything that allows you to stay tethered to a responsible sense of time and keeping time. A lot of places, I don't know how often they do this now, but as long as you're sitting at a table, you would get free drinks. We were able to smoke cigars at tables as well. Everybody gets comped for everything over there. But talk about other ways in which we are mentally hacked while we're in there to make us more easily suggestible to spending money, and maybe even making moves that are against our best intentions, or our best anything that's going to serve us best, I should say.
Well, you mentioned some of the big ones. If you don't have a good sense of the hour, you don't have plans to leave anytime soon. And as you stated earlier, the longer you're at the table, the more chance you have of losing. So the casino wants you there as long as possible so that the math balances out in their favor. That's called the house edge. So that's the time. The drinks make it so that your judgment sort of slips. So not only is it in their favor, now you're playing a lousier game than you were before the first drink or two. What else? You're constantly hearing sounds, and you're seeing lights from like the slot machines and people at other tables cheering because they got a good hand. So what you do is you get a sense that winning is going on. So you're not there sort of just losing. You hear that there's opportunity for you to be winning. What else is there? There's well, yeah, so besides the sounds, it's like I had mentioned, the croupier would tell me this goes against basic strategy. Well, when they first told me that, I was thinking, well, that's a bit strange that you're telling me how to beat this hand, because you would think that they'd want me to lose it. But if I feel like that this is a losing thing that I'm doing, I'm not going to want to stay. So they want you to just feel comfortable. They want you to talk. They want you to they want you to feel like they're in your best interest. Otherwise, you leave, and that's another sucker who's left the table.
Yeah, I know, man. It's actually been so long. I kind of miss it. I guess the one thing I always had in my favor was I said, okay, I have X amount of hundreds of dollars that I'm willing to lose tonight. Let's say I saved $300 to $500 up over the course of X amount of months or something and say, this is what I'm willing to lose. And then, of course, it was always about just making a betting system. Like if it was blackjack, it was that very basic pyramid betting system. So if I put $50 down and I won, it would be $50 plus the winnings. Boom. It's staying on there. If I won that, it would be the winnings plus the winnings. Boom. One more time, the winnings plus the winnings. Keep it on there. And then I would go back down to the original 50 and take the fat off the top and just for as long as you can cycle, just so at least there's some sort of a way to mitigate losses and also try to keep profits a little bit longer and, bankroll yourself a little bit more. But that's just like normie shit. I also heard as far as how the human animal is conditioned inside of casinos, that some places actually spend a little extra money to pump very, very pure oxygen in. It's not even just, air conditioning and all that stuff, but they really want the place oxygenated, so that you are awake and you're feeling, I don't want to leave, whatever. I don't know if that's just a myth or something, but how about this? Break away from blackjack for just a little bit and talk about roulette, slots, poker. What are you not screwing with, and what are some great opportunities to work your magic on?
Well, first off, with slots, that's not something that like blackjack or poker. It's your own skill that you bring to the table.
Yeah.
You might think that you could time it right, but especially now with the computerized ones, it's a lot more programmed. So you're not going to win those. I'm not going to say you're never going to win them, but you're just not. You don't. The house edge is much higher on slots and roulette wheels. Um, s- with roulette, there's also American roulette, and then there's European roulette. So European doesn't have the green zero. Once you add a green zero, that brings the house edge up. And then you have the 0 and double 0 ones, so that brings it up even more. That doubles the house edge. So the main thing is you want to know your um, what the house edge is and what you're going in with. Um, what's another thing? Yeah, so I guess the main thing is you want to know the game that you're going in with. You want to know um, sort of what rebates you get, what sort of if you play long enough, if they think that you're going to be someone who's going to play a lot of money, they'll comp you. I had a number of comps. Like I had a night stay, I had a couple meals for free. So if they think that you're going to be there long enough to keep playing, it doesn't matter if you win or lose. If they know you're bringing in money, they will comp you. So these are kind of rewards that they'll give you just so you can stay longer.
And well, before we get into card counting in particular, when it comes to, you're talking about slots, and I have to imagine that somebody who's serious about going in and making some money, they were going to stick away from slots as well, or just use it as a fun little appetizer or something like that. I got $100. I'm going to if I win big over here, I'll take $100 of that, and we'll just have some fun with some slots and see what fate gives us purely. But roulette. I know some people prefer roulette, and of course you can't control where the ball bounces. But what are the probabilities that serious roulette players go into the casino with? What are they working off of? Because there has to at least be a strategy to the betting. I've never gotten into it. We've only bet red or black and hit once or twice on each, and it never went anywhere. And so I don't know how people actually stay at the game for as long as they do.
Yeah, I can't think of a strategy. I did the same thing with roulette. It was black or red, and on occasion I do an area. But there was a good let's call it a heist a while back, and they used computers. So this is when it got a little more uh, high tech for it. I don't know if it was so much an AI, but what it was is they would calculate this how fast the ball was going, how fast the wheel was going, and it would tell them the range. So that instead of picking a specific number, they would just go for these five or four rather. And this is how they were winning. And that one was an interesting case because um, it ended up going to court, and it ended up in their favor because they hadn't messed with the table. So they didn't mess with the wheel, they didn't mess with the ball, they didn't post what is it? You know, put their bet in late. So with this one, it was one of those cases where the court sort of sided with these guys for using the technology just to help them observe better.
Really?
hmm That was let me see if I can get you the name of it. That was the oh boy, who was it?
They got a court to side with them
Yeah. Well,
against a city. Well, I mean, maybe to explain how, what was the nuance to this whole thing? Because you'd imagine
sure.
going into a controlled environment like that, getting any kind of technological assistance, is going to be immediate terms of service
Well,
issues.
they had to change the rules because of it. At this point, you can't have a device to assist you, but that wasn't a cheating device. They weren't being signaled what the count was or anything like that. So they weren't being told uh, any cheating sort of information. It was just giving them a general range of numbers, and that's what they were going with. So it technically was just assisting with observation, and their lawyers were saying, well, you can't really penalize someone for using technology. You know, you use glasses to see better at the table, you use hearing aids to hear better at the tables, and this is just another way to help assist your observations.
Okay, so you know what? Let's get into that a little bit more then too. That movie 21. I'm going to reference this a little bit because I was thinking about that movie a lot today. I hadn't seen it in a long time, but there was a period of time that I watched it a couple times a year because I just thought it was so cool. Where about the MIT kids who developed this system of card counting and they were making millions on blackjack and all that stuff. But no matter how good in this movie, no matter how good the communication was between teams, spotters, whatever the hell it was, the basis of the whole operation was math and
Yep.
and counting and knowing when decks were hot or cold. So so getting back to something like a blackjack, and obviously you can't look at a roulette table and say, "Man, the wheel is really hot right now," and that's not going to have the same implication. You might be on a run, but it's not because you're hitting a part of the deck of cards that is especially flush with royalty at that moment, and everybody's going to be busting and 21s all over the place and all that shit. So, what are so? Can you talk a little bit about actual counting? Have you counted before? Do you know how that works? I remember trying to train myself a little bit, and I never could go fast pace. What would have been dealer speed. So I never tried to roll that out at all. When you're sitting at the table, you can kind of feel when people are hitting a lot, and then maybe you get a little bit more adventurous around then, but you just stick to your strategy. But as far as actually knowing the count, is that something you can still do to this day?
Yeah, I wouldn't do it at the same speed that I used to do it, but the way like the MIT team, and it wasn't just MIT, it was Harvard Business School, all those schools, but they just went under the MIT name because that was a popular name since they made it popular. But so let me just explain briefly how counting works. I use a high-low method, which is low cards are a positive one. Neutral cards would be anything like from 5 to 9, and then 10 up is a -1. So I'll explain it without the neutral
Positive
cards.
one.
So -1 because you've just lost a 10.
Okay. So there was it was positive one is the lower
Positive
ones.
1. I'm sorry. Yeah.
Got it.
Positive 0 and -1. So what happens is if you take away all the neutral cards, for example, you have high cards and you have low cards. So what you're keeping track of is if I kept taking out the low cards, the ratio now is much higher on the tens. So that 10, Jack, Queen, and King. So what you want is for a lot of the low cards to have left the deck. And now you know that you're coming up on a lot of tens. So now you can be a little more comfortable with your bets. So the way that they practice it is they would play a much faster game than would actually be played at the tables. It's think of it this way. It's like driving a race car and then going into a sports car right after and driving that as fast as you can. It's not going to quite make the speed of the race car because that's built for speed. So even at a quick pace, it's going to seem a lot slower. So that's going to help you to do this without feeling the stress of things.
Yeah.
So that's how they
yeah.
would.
It's like
So that's
it's
how
like
they
using
would.
a weighted bat when you're on the on deck circle. You put the
Well,
you
that's a
yeah.
no. I'm sorry. Go on.
No, it was just another analogy about working on a higher weight of something and then taking the weight off so that you're like, for example, with baseball, your bat speed is a lot higher after you take those first couple of practice swings with the lead weight around the bat. And I can see what you're saying right there, where you train your mind to work at a higher level so that when you're at a dealer's pace in a casino, you're a lot more leisurely with just knowing the count without seeming too dialed in, like you're about to lose the count if you're not watching everything. You could be a little bit more casual with it.
Well, that's also why you want to know what game you're going into. When I say game, I mean like which table, which setup they have. Because if it's a two deck blackjack, they shuffle that deck more often, so your count doesn't matter because you're gonna lose your count in a short time. You can also have a 6 to 8 deck blackjack table, but if the table penetration, that's the amount of cards in before they shuffle the deck. If that's really low, maybe halfway through, then it doesn't matter. So you could render your count useless if you're at the wrong table. So you always want to know what table you're going into. Um, and then you're also going to want to know what the minimum bet is, because if you have a spotter, you're going to blow through your cash if your minimum is high. So there's a lot
True.
of factors you want to get your team aware of before you do that.
Yeah, that's I forget. Do the tables make known right there when you sit down how many decks they're working with? Can you
Yeah,
ask?
they have a sign there. It says six deck, and it gives the rules. So that's usually how I do it. And the reason that I kept to two deck blackjack is I wasn't working with a team. So two deck, I don't need to count cards. If I count cards on the larger deck, I'm just stressing myself out because I have to keep track and I have to play versus working with a team. So, you work with what you've got.
Gotcha. Absolutely gotcha. See, that's then I start thinking about security. Uh what are casinos looking at when you count? Well, actually, wait. Let me ask you: Did you? So you were, at least for a time, counting, and it was to your advantage. You were making it work for yourself at least a few times at the tables, or that's just something where you learned. But I know, admittedly, you said that this was only a few trips because your bank jobs were only over the course of a month. So I don't know how much you were actually able to test out with any kind of consistency. So whereas you know how to count, were you actually applying it with any success?
So, so because it was so few times I was at the casino, I would spend maybe 6 to 8 hours at the table, any given day. But remember, I'm going there for the weekend, so multiply that by however many weekends I'm there. And so I didn't need to do a hard count. I'm also a magician, so I'm familiar with cards, so I recognize them. So I can recall how many, you know, twos, threes have left the deck. So I just have an innate sense of the what a deck's made out of. So I made it purpose a point not to have to count cards, but I can count cards. It's just you know because I'm already thinking I've got stolen money. I'm gonna try to do as little thinking as I can on top of the basic strategy. So yeah, I could count cards. I just didn't need to at my stays.
Gotcha. So what are casinos looking for? If you are on the other side of things, what are casinos looking for when people are counting? Let's say that you're not part of some squad, you're just having a really good night. Can that be proof? They can't. That can't just be proof positive that somebody is having a really good run and they seem very comfortable at the table and they know what they're doing and all that stuff. Are casinos counting as well? So I mean, I just don't know how somebody can actually say that they're doing it. Just it can't just because somebody's locked in on the cards and they're just having a stoic night at the table and not really talking to anybody. You can't just accuse, hey, you better get a little bit more lively because I don't know if you're counting or not. Like how can you, what's telltale we got the guy?
Sure. So one thing that that gives it away is, when you're counting anything, it could be the number of letters in a word, and you start doing like that.
Oh,
That's going to do it. So any sort of pause to your normal play is going to. So, if you're playing well, but you have to stop to think, that's where it gives it away that you're not just going with basic strategy, you're calculating something. Now, that's not always the telltale, but it's also how do you play? Are you only playing when it's advantageous to you? Because then that means that you're keeping track of something.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. So then again though, there's a human element. I don't know what AI. I actually have two videos here I want to play. You sent them both to me. I think they're great, so I wanted to keep them in for tonight. But in that movie 21, Lawrence Fishburne, he plays the role of like the antiquated casino security pit boss type kind of character who, back then this movie came out, I think in the late 90s or something like that, or 2000 or something. He's this kind of character who back then was grappling with the prospect of losing his career to what was emerging modern surveillance technology, and that the human element was going away. The old school pit boss was going away, that no one needed a bruiser like him anymore to beat the shit out of people in a back room. But, here we are, we're nearly, we're 25 years into the future. And I'm sure, and we have an AI clip over here that I want to roll out. I'm sure that we are getting into there's so many more tools that are used at a casino, but I've never seen the exit of pit bosses. I don't see where that is ever going to be something that goes away. So that might have just added a little bit more to the plot, where you have this one guy, Lawrence Fishburne's playing, who is his last hurrah in breaking up an old school ring of, casino bandits. But what do you think about this, about the human element, both the player and the law enforcement?
Well, the thing with the law enforcement is the more technology they get, it just makes it easier for them to focus on certain aspects of it. So, for example, they had the Griffin book. That's the one that's in 21, where it shows all their pictures, and that's how they get tracked. So, so first, the technology just means that they don't have to have that book. They can have it in a system, and the system will recognize their faces now. So that just means that these people don't have to remember all the big players in order to spot them. But that doesn't mean that the computer is going to pick up everything. It'll sort of see, is this guy playing better now? Is he doing certain things? It's picking up patterns. But what a person will do is say, is that pattern indicative of cheating, or is it telling me that they're counting? An AI won't be able to spot a group, for example. So if you've got someone here playing low, and then they signal for the guy with all the money to come in on a high count, the AI is not going to pick that up. So the pit bosses and security they can step back from certain tasks. They outsource it to the AI, but they're still gonna have to make a judgment call. They're still gonna have to tell you, "Hey, you have to leave. We think you're playing a little too well." Whereas an AI may cause the VIP to leave if it was up to the AI to judge that.
It's crazy. It's crazy that you can actually, hey, listen, you're gonna have to leave. You're just doing too well. Not that we have anything on you, but obviously we're not going to be able to stop you. I don't know. That's crazy to me. But hey, you got to do what you got to do, I guess. Here is it. I want to go right to the videos that we have here. The first one is, this is AI changing the game of poker. They said, now this is of analyzing the people playing. I don't necessarily think this is a cheating video. Maybe I lost it. I just knew that it was going to be good for our conversations, but let's just watch it together. It's only about a minute. Here we go.
This new AI could have a huge impact on the game of poker. So what it does is it analyzes your physical tells in order to determine the strength of your hand. This is how the AI works. So this is being worked on by this AI engineer, Luke Aguil, and it analyzes all these things. Is he smiling? Is he frowning? His blink rate, the movement speed of his chips when he bets. And with all these factors, the AI can determine, are you bluffing? Do you have a medium strength hand? Do you have a monster, etc. So he says this AI can be used for preparation. Before the session, you study your opponents on this AI, and then during the session, you're able to determine if their tells mean they have a strong hand or a weak hand. What's crazy is the producers of the WSOP this summer have already been in touch with him to see if they can incorporate some of this AI into their coverage.
Oh my gosh.
In the same way that people study solvers, the developer is saying people would study this. And it could be really weird if this becomes a go-to thing that people use. And this could potentially become very dangerous if people use this to cheat at the table.
I was going to say, I guess there's always people are going to have their glasses, their reading glasses and all that stuff analyzed, just like a baseball pitcher will have to have his hands inspected when he comes off the mound for sticky substances or anything like that. But, the first thing that came to mind was Google glasses and whatever. You just stare across the table from somebody and analyze whatever. Perhaps you're not going to Foxwoods one night or Atlantic City and sitting down and have to contend with their space age technology that's all around you and people who are wondering what's going on with you. But perhaps you're going to a high stakes game somewhere with people who don't know any better on down at the docks or something like that. I mean, there are going to be people who are going to be able to use this to make some serious money. And if they get caught, it could, especially if it's not, it's better to get caught in a casino using these glasses than anywhere else, because at least you'll be able to retain the function of your legs. I don't think that they still break legs at casinos anymore, do they?
If they do, they don't report it.
I'm just saying. That's crazy. Thoughts on this before we go to the next video?
So I think it's a smart move for study, like he says, for researching your opponent. It's similar to when you go to a debate and you look at their past debates. So it's good for that kind of thing. But I think that is going to mess with the livelihood of a lot of players, because if you try to withhold your tells, but this computer is seeing ones that are even more subtle than you're aware of, then it's going to give a lot of weight to your opponent. So and I'm sort of surprised that ESPN is wanting to show it. So, like, imagine you're there watching them do the World Poker Tournament, and you're seeing all these tells like that. Um, I mean, I guess it adds to the challenge of it. But I wouldn't. Yeah, I don't know if I agree with that, but someone's going to use it anyway. So whether ESPN's using it or if you do it with your Google glasses, I think it's just going to have to make you change the way you do things.
Yes,
when you play.
I don't know if you probably have these figures in your mind, but out of everything that you took from the banks when you were on your run in your past life, what were you able to turn it into at the casinos?
Oh, I wish I remembered. I know I did well, because if they're comping me, again, they don't comp you because of how well or how poorly you're doing. But if I was able to play long enough for them to comp me, that means that I didn't run out of cash that quick, and I'd come home with cash. So I know I did pretty well. I could say I've 50% or increase, or maybe even I doubled my money, but I wasn't doing professional blackjack, but I could tell you I came home with more money than I did the total of the banks.
Gotcha. Well, there you go. Like, again, just testament to your smarts. Let's see. Okay, so now I want to play this as a minute and a half. Now, this guy just rattles off everything that he claims is being used to, well, here we are talking about ways to actually, what can be taken advantage of? What can a person, little people like us, do to take advantage of, I don't know, anything to even the score in a casino? And then the ethical nature of counting cards and just kind of knowing when a deck is hot. You don't know what card is coming. You can still lose when a deck is hot, no doubt about it. But you can also bounce back a lot quicker, and you can just, it's time to really just put your money where your mouth is. It's not like you're slipping aces up the sleeve or anything like that. But still, ethics and money's being made, money's being lost. This guy's coming out and saying, "Hey, I got in a minute and a half," and I'm sure he can go on for longer than that. He's got a minute and a half of methods that he says are being used to outright steal from us and artificially make the chances of the house winning artificially inflated. It's not just that, over the course of time, these games are naturally going to favor the house. It's that you've got tripwire all over the place. Take a look at this.
I'm gonna show you right now a whole bunch of ways that casinos cheat. A while back, I posted this video and a lot of people said, yeah, but usually shoes aren't clear and the cards aren't face up. So here's another way. If you look there on the left, you can see a reflection. So the dealer will always be able to see what the next card is to see if they want to deal the second one from the bottom or the one that's right on the top. Here's another angle. You can see it's a black 8. And that's for a lot of the dealers that sit with the card lingering on the felt there before it's dealt. There you can see it's a red ace. Now here's an automatic shuffler. This is what's used in a lot of modern casinos today. This shuffler will actually change the cards electronically in the shoe while you're playing. They're predicting and creating whatever card they want to come out, and they're doing it from inside the machine while you're playing. Here's a camera so you can just like see the technologies the casino uses to figure out which cards are next to then signal to the dealer whether to deal the top one, the second one, or the third one. Here's another angle of that same type of camera technology that casinos use to signal a lot of the dealers on which card they should deal.
Okay, just stopping there for a second with 29 seconds left in this video. What he's saying right there would sound to me, and a lot of these casinos there's a lot of tables out there, RJ, and I don't know how many other card games, card tables you can actually sit down and count in some way or find a way to put yourself in a better position to, just kind of, cash in a little bit here. But Blackjack is a special game in that respect, that there is just knowing the basics puts you head and shoulders above most people. But what he's saying right there is that there essentially would be a radio man assigned to each table, to each dealer, telling them, watching things that are, from some kind of a vantage point under the table or under the shuffler or whatever the hell it is, and to tell a dealer what to do and what not to do. That is an extreme amount of micromanagement. I don't doubt that there are places that have done it, but how common do you think this is?
So I don't know how common it is, but he also mentioned that you can remote it, and the dealer might not even know, and they could be playing the next card like that. So if the casino isn't telling the dealers anything, then this is something that is above their pay grade. And if what I was thinking when I saw that was, this would only be for the big the whales, the ones who come in with all the cash, because if they're taking all the money, this would be a way to sort of mitigate that. Or it could be, hey, they're playing $1,000 hands, $5,000 hands, whatever they can play. This is an easy way to get their money, because remember, the house edge only plays so much. They only have a certain amount of advantage over a lot of plays. So this might be an easy way to fill their pockets.
Gotcha.
The casinos. So I don't think that this is a common thing, because if it was common, it'd be everybody would be spotting it. I don't think it's for low hanging fruit, the guys like you and me who don't play a lot. So this would be, if it is in the casinos, this would be for the big players.
Yeah, they're not putting this on the $5 tables. The $5 tables that pop up, like it's funny. It's funny when we used to go up a lot more to Mohegan Sun, because we had so little, and we just wanted to play, and hopefully we can walk away with $200 over the course of a night that we made out like bandits. The $5 tables, they would pop up once, maybe an hour. The $5 table would open up, and you see, it's almost like watching guppies flock. Somebody had sprinkled fish food, and it's just like dozens of people running, wheelchairs. Everybody's trying to get to the $5 table. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that they don't have a radio man over there. But
or they figured you guys are there too long, getting too many drinks. They want you out of there.
I know. No, it's I have to bring that up. Okay, a couple more seconds on this one.
Here's another piece of technology that casinos use to change which cards are going to be dealt out next. This type of technology, the dealer stays ignorant. This is when the casino doesn't want to inform the dealer or doesn't think the dealer is equipped to help that kind of cheat. So this is done with complete ignorance of the dealer. The dealer thinks they're just innocently dealing, but really the casino's using them as a pawn.
But wait, what happened?
That was the one I was talking about. So what they do is, as the dealer's about to go
Here's
for
a
the card, it pulls it back up. So it sort of does this thing where it'll peel it up, and then they're actually dealing the next card.
Ah,
So that's the one I was thinking him mentioned earlier, where the dealer doesn't know about it. So this would be outside of their pay grade. It's the casino actually handling the switching of the cards.
you see, that would have to be another one of those things where it's a $150 table. It would have to be where every hand can be changing at least a couple of $1,000, even on the low end, even if people aren't doubling down or splitting or anything like that. Just it has to be, because that would require a gamer, well, one person that is that's analyzing things and very quickly triggering cards to be pulled. So I'd love to know a little bit more about this, but I love these videos. I was really excited to talk to you about this tonight because the casino science things, and I love casino conspiracy stuff. Really, really, really interesting.
Now, one thing I want to say about that though is if you've got a hot deck, one with a high count on it, if you're counting cards, this won't really do much to save the casino, because if you have a lot of tens, they could hold back a 10, and the very next card could be a 10. So it's not really going to do much. It's So I think holding back a card is only going to maybe give them a fighting chance. But I can't imagine that one card, if that's all that they can hold back, is actually going to do much in the long run.
Yeah, absolutely. I got this. I've got this comment that came in from John Otter in the chat room. He says, Frank, I was asked by a pit boss to stop watching a private craps table. There was only one player, and he was putting down cash stacks and throwing the dice as fast as he could. The stick was pushing the losses into the slot as fast as he could, emptied a large briefcase in less than 10 minutes. Them books, Democrat book sales ain't got shit on this level of money laundering. So that's interesting, that for John to be in a position to observe something like that, where, someone technically just has to throw down the dice, throw down the $10,000 stack of cash, maybe a couple of those, whatever, and it goes into the coffers, and then automatically it has been washed at least into the casino's ledgers very cleanly. Somebody walked in with this cash, and unfortunately he lost a bunch of he lost a lot of craps all at once. But that's an interesting one there too, where it's on the opposite side. You're talking about taking your ill-gotten gains from New York and Brooklyn and Queens or wherever, and you're bringing it to Atlantic City to make it legit for you. And here is somebody who has, at least they're alleging, to have been a firsthand account of a casino doing something that would have to have been shady in order to.
Well, especially if they say, "Hey, you can't stand here watching." I would imagine that the one player has a certain vantage point, and this person has another one where if something shady is going on, they might pick it up. So that might be the one of those situations where the house is trying to do something to get all that money from the guy.
I mean, it's got to be, because there's nothing more, like you said before, there's nothing more exciting than even just being an innocent bystander watching an incredible amount of money get put down on a roll or on a spin or something like that, and you sitting there with your whiskey sour and $75 in your pocket, and you're still able to see an incredible high stakes show play out before you in the casino. That's part of the allure of being in there, just peeking in on somebody else's gamble, on somebody else's risk. So for somebody to say, no, you can't, you can't watch this craps table operate, is that in and of itself is weird, because that takes away most of the fun of just being in there.
Well, it sounds like when you're playing the 3 shell game and you see people winning or losing, and they say, "Hey, you can't film here," right? But this is out on the street. It sort of has that that feel to it. So that's why I'm thinking maybe something shady was going on there, but without knowing the casino, without knowing anything about it, I couldn't really tell you.
Absolutely. Okay. Well, then now let's get around to, first of all, if there's anything else that you think that we missed that would be really, really good about to throw into the mix there of how it all operates and tricks that people who have gamed the system and taken down the house have put into play. If there's anything else, just let me know, because I'd love to get into just the hereafter now.
Sure. So I was telling you earlier that I had a favorite heist, if you will, and that story reminded me of it because the way that this worked out was, um, this guy and his family, they pretty much found microscopic flaws in the roulette wheel, and this won them millions of dollars. So this is a Spanish filmmaker and music producer, and so it wasn't going well for him, and he was trying to figure out how to make money. They had the last few $1,000s in their account, and so he's real good at observing things. So how it reminds me of the story you were just telling is this guy decided to go to the casino and just watch a game of roulette and just write down every number that came up and see if it favored certain numbers. So he later on he got his whole family involved. He said, "Hey, I think I got a system, and we're gonna do this." So what it was is, you know how things wear out over time. The casino, the roulette table is made of wood, metal. Things are running around,
Yeah.
spinning around, moving. So it causes friction. It wears down on it. The ground settles in different ways. So all these factors he figured might contribute in the table favoring certain positions on the roulette wheel as it's spinning. So what he did was he'd go with his wife, his son, daughter, niece, nephews, and they would all be assigned to a different table, and they would just for hours sit there watching the game, writing down every number and not playing anything. And what he would do is he'd go back and he'd put into his computer program and say, okay, here's table number one, all the numbers at play, and it would give him the five or six that numbers that came up the most often, and what percent it would do that. And so uh, remember how I was saying that there's sections you can play on the roulette table, so it's not just red and black, it's not just a specific number, it could be these four numbers.
Yeah.
And that's what they would do. They would play 17, 2, things like that. And the casinos didn't really mind at first that they were doing that. That might have been a thing that changed over time because of that event. But they'd go in and they'd start writing it down. And this guy would take millions. He was then taken to court by the casinos, and that ended up in his favor because there was no cheating, there was no device, there was no they weren't counting, they weren't doing anything like that. It was strictly he went home, he looked at the odds, and he would play at those tables the same five or six numbers every single time. Nothing changed in his bet. Um, so I that's probably why if it wasn't that they were cheating, that's probably why they don't want people at the tables just watching and never playing a hand.
Well, okay, that's incredible. Now I have to ask. I'm going to ask Grok something real quick. Can a person be legally barred from returning to a casino if they are just really good at gambling and aren't using any counting or technology to game the house? Let me see.
I could answer that in one sentence for you.
Okay, go ahead.
It's a private institution. They could do whatever they want.
That's what it says. I knew that was going to come back to me too, because it figures, because we can't apply that to very many other things. Like, hey, this is a private business. You get out. I don't like you in particular. I don't like you. That's the way it should be.
But that's why AI can't do that job. That's why you need the human element, because if the AI is saying, "Hey, this guy had a good streak," they're going to ban that guy, and he may be a big loser on other days. So, you know, um, but yeah, so they don't normally tell you you're banned just because of this. It sort of has to be a track record. A lot of these casinos talk to each other, and so they know, hey, Frank, he wiped us out of 100 grand this day. He wiped the other one out this day. So it has to be a pattern. If they think you're really good and they don't know you from Adam, then what is they'll bar you from Blackjack at that casino. You could play any other game, you're just not doing Blackjack at this table. So for them to bar you, it has to be that you've got a track record.
Well, let me see here. Key details by location. Nevada. Casinos have broad latitude. They can bar players for advantage play, winning patterns, or even just because they don't like your style. Violating a trespass notice can lead to arrest or criminal trespass. They must still pay out any legitimate winnings you've already earned, but they can prevent future play. New Jersey. This is a notable exception for blackjack card counters, but a 1979 New Jersey Supreme Court ruling generally prevents casinos from excluding players solely for skill in that game, although they can still use countermeasures like frequent shuffling or betting limits. For non-counting skilled players or other games, they have more flexibility, and trespassing for other reasons is still possible. In other states, most follow the private property model, similar to Nevada. Casinos can bar skilled winners in poker, roulette strategies. See, that's the other thing. Roulette strategies. I want to get into that at some point. I have to look into it myself, because you think, well, hey, you're dropping a ball into a spinning wheel. What the,
Right. It's like a coin toss. It doesn't remember the last few hands or plays. So
right.
I can't imagine there's a real good strategy for that.
Video poker advantage play. Video poker advantage play, they say, or any other game where skill gives an edge. Tribal casinos often have even broader discretion. So yeah, that's all I wanted.
Oh, and I want to throw one scenario regarding AI real quick, because there was this one video I had seen where a guy got the police came to pick him up, they fingerprinted him, and he was barred from a casino. And he says, I've never played here. That's not my name. Here's my ID. And what it was is the AI looked at his face and they thought it was a different face in their system. So the AI couldn't make the distinction. I guess he had enough features for them to say it was this guy. So the cops said, well, they reported you, they want to trespass you. So I don't know if he ever got untrespassed because of that, but his ID didn't match the name that they pulled up.
Was he Asian?
No, he was he was just a heavy set white guy.
Oh, okay.
So maybe he looked like another one, but Asian, yeah.
No, because that was one of my favorites. One of my favorite stories out of China over the last, sometime over the last decade, where they were having a problem with the iPhones out there because too many people were able to open up each other's phones. I thought that was when they did the face lock. I just thought that was hilarious. It's just, those are the stories that stick with you, make you laugh every time I think about it. But okay, in the years since now, give us your fatherly advice. What would you say about, for the person who doesn't have an addictive personality, who going into a casino or going into a bar or going into a strip club, whatever the hell it is, if some people just got that personality where once you find something, it's very hard to turn it off. So if you're somebody who really can just say, we're going to go up to Connecticut and let loose a little bit, I've got some money and I've got a hope and a dream, and maybe we can pay for this month's rent if everything goes our way. What would you give as advice from somebody who's been there on some higher levels?
Well, my first thing would be, don't play with the money you can't risk losing. So with me, with the money from the banks, even if that was earned money, it's not money that I'm budgeting my life around. So that's first and foremost. Second is know your game. Don't go hopping tables to other games that you don't know how it's an expensive thing to learn a game right there. So like I went once with one of the guys to the casino, and he said, hey, you should play this game. I said, I don't know how to play that game. Well, within 5 or 10 minutes, I lost my what I was budgeting for that game. I said, yeah, I'll play 500 for this. I didn't know the game, wiped it out. So if you're gonna play with money that you can risk losing, and know what game you're playing. And if you're like me or Frank, learn basic strategy or whatever gives you an edge. But I'm not gonna say it's don't go do it, because that's It's one of the fastest ways to make money if you can do it. And if you can't do it, yeah, don't play it.
It's a fast way to lose money, lose everything.
Yeah.
Hey, you know what? Before you leave, RJ, I want to do something with you. I want to read a very quick thread that I thought was just really awesome. And since you are a person who really a lot of your career has been, and I'm talking about your magic career and your writing now and everything else that you do, since you've left that world behind 12 years ago and started a family and moved out to the West Coast where they don't allow any fun. And there is this whole human condition thing that you really always tap into. Magicians have to. You have to know how to put a person into an easily influenceable state. Whether it's just basic sleight of hand to get them relaxed, so that the element of surprise really is enhanced with whatever trick that you are running there. I thought that this was great. Listen to this. Did you know the supermarket was designed by casino architects? And you probably did, but I thought that this would be really interesting points here. Same psychological tricks. This is from Mark Hyman, MD, New York Times bestseller. He tweeted this out in January of this year. I knew that you and I would be talking at some point about this, so I wanted to grab it. Same addiction mechanics, same goal: keep you inside, spending money on things that harm you. Here it comes. Supermarket manipulation tactics. Every aisle is a trap. Every shelf is calculated. Nothing is random. The entrance, fresh flowers that create that health halo effect. Bakery pumps artificial smells to trigger hunger. The dairy in the back corner forces you through junk aisles. Eye level, buy level. That's the whole thing. If it's on eye level, it's on buy level. Most profitable items are at a sight line. Checkout candy exploits decision fatigue right there. We used to, when I was in retail, we called them impulse buys. You think you're shopping, you're actually being hunted. The psychology that they use against you. Cart size increased by 40% since 1975. Bigger cart equals more purchases. The music tempo slows about 10% to keep you browsing and relaxed. End caps appear like deals but have the highest margins. Loss leaders, that's like cheap milk, forced navigation through profit zones. Floor tiles get smaller near expensive items. It slows walking speed. Did you know that?
That part I didn't know.
Floor tile. I'm gonna have to take. Everybody at home, be on the lookout for that. Floor tiles get smaller near expensive items. I guess that's the butcher shop.
I don't know. I'm gonna have smaller tiles so my kids will walk slower.
Well, anything you can do at this point. So the grocery stores employ behavioral psychologists. You are the experiment. Your brain, after 15 minutes in a supermarket, decision fatigue sets in, willpower depletes, impulse control crashes. That's why candy is at the checkout. They wait until your prefrontal cortex is exhausted, and then they hit you with sugar when you can't resist. Studies show 60% of purchases are unplanned. That's crazy. Yep. That's crazy. Here's a little bit more. Big Food pays supermarkets slotting fees for premium placement. Eye-level shelf, $50,000 per foot. End cap display, $100,000 a month. Checkout position, $1 million a year. And kids' eye level, premium pricing. Healthy foods can't afford the rent. Vegetables don't have marketing budgets. So how do you shop? Then it just treat it like a mission and try not to get sucked in by the tractor beam, I guess. But I thought that was just so interesting.
Did you know that even the marketing, the prints on the cereal boxes, so like in Italy, for example, Fruit Loops they're not dyed like they are in the US. So here it's a lot brighter. So that's supposed to make it, get your attention and make you buy it. So we dye the food so that they look more attractive than a grayed out version of the same exact thing. And then yeah, so it's just all the, like you said, if it's at eye level, especially if you're with kids, and then you've got all these things that you've got bright colors, you've got sweets, so they're going to add to the fatigue. It's the same thing like with the casino, them giving you the drinks. That's going to add to your the fact that you're not sharp witted the whole time. So yeah, no, it definitely is that. video games do the same thing. They will give you rewards, and it's not going to be regular intervals. It's going to be random, because you're a gamer. You know, if you find a reward, if you're playing for hours and you haven't gotten a single reward, you're going to get exhausted. You're going to tire out. But if you've got something that you hadn't seen for a while, and if you get them every once in a while, not regularly, it's going to make you want to play longer. So, and another thing I've noticed as well is you get ads for casinos. My oldest daughter, she plays Roblox, right? And she's been getting ads for casinos. So this is a kids game
Yeah.
advertising casinos. So now imagine if you're someone who's been trying to avoid casinos, right? Yeah, so you used to be addicted to it. You try everything you can, and then you keep getting these ads. What's it going to do? It's going to send you right back to the casino. So they know what they're doing.
Oh, in New York, it's I always laugh about it. You know, if I'm listening to the radio proper, like I put on like, you know, 101.9 FM or something, or New York sports radio. I'm just listening to, you know, bullshit for a little while for a short drive from the studio to my home to see what, you know, what's going on around one league or another. And I hear I'm there for a commercial break. It's always like either Kalshi. Forget about even Foxwoods, the wonder of it all. You know, forget about Foxwoods and everybody else that are, hey, come out to the casino and have a good time. You know, Empire City Raceway and all that other shit. You know, they do it too. But now it's the betting culture in the United States. We talked about it recently on the show. It's incredible that whatever the hell you're watching, if you're happen to be watching sports in the middle of the game, they have the tickers, and at the bottom right-hand corner of the screen, they tell you how the betting odds for one specific thing happening or another are changing over the course of a game. Doesn't matter what the hell the sport is. People obviously are making a lot of money betting on military operations. I mean, someone got $500,000 betting the right way on whether or not Maduro was going to be removed from office in January. You got people on Polymarket and other places. They don't call them betting sites. They call them prediction markets.
Prediction, yep.
They call them prediction markets. And and people are betting on UFO disclosure and everything else like that. It's huge. But at the end of every last commercial, whether it's, you know, Sports Kings or DraftKings or one thing or another, anything that is betting related, at the end of the commercial, the Micro Machine Man comes out with his 10,000 mile an hour voice and says, "Gambling addiction? Call 1-800 so and so." And it's like they tell you that you're going to have this incredible time at Mohegan Sun, but gambling addiction? No, this is not for you. You go over here, sir. We're going to have a great time over here. Can you just go get some help? It's just ridiculous.
If they really wanted you to, they'd slow it down, right? But they want to make sure you don't catch it. You're probably already making plans to go by the time the end of the commercial comes.
This time you'll win.
But
anyway,
it's like with the casino you mentioned earlier, in Queens, the fact that they're moving it closer, because when I was going, the big one was Atlantic City, so that meant that I had to plan my day to go 2 hours to go to the casino. So by them putting it right next door to you, it makes it that you're going to be you're more willing to go. There's not much hindrance for you to go. So it's a lot of things like that they want it in your face. You become immune to it. It's you know, it's common at that point.
Yeah.
So anyway, it's all psychology. So it's, I guess, to summarize it, it's psychology and it's systems, and which one you decide you want to favor, that's how you that's going to be your experience. So if I went into the casino because of the psychology, I'm likely going to lose. If I go in with systems, I'm moving it in favor of me. So you know, in my favor. So yep, psychology and systems. That's all you got?
That's it. Well, RJ Williams, is there listen, you're often hanging out in the chat room. You show up in the chat room as Robert Williams. And especially on Friday mornings, it's always great to have coffee with you there, and we're all just chilling. But is there any URL, any account, any socials that you want to promote so people can link up with you? I know that you got a You got some books that you've written about chance and escapes and all that other stuff. So let everybody know where to find you in the meantime.
Oh, they can check out my Substack. I have it's called Examine Everything. I wish I could give you the URL off the top of my head, but Examine Everything. You'll see my beautiful face there, and I just look at anything. I try to write from my own experience, so it's usually going to be my own research. I don't like to just see someone else's thing and write about it. So
It's examineeverything.substack.com.
and the chat's always open there too. So if there's something that you say, hey, RJ, take a look at, I've been thinking about this topic. I'll look into it and I'll write about it.
Oh, you wrote about Padre Pio. I'm gonna have to read that one. There. Here you have it, everybody. Examineeverything.substack.com. Go check out RJ. Reach out to him. Become a subscriber. I got to get a little bit more active on Substack. Every time I try to do, have some kind of a meaningful presence on another platform, I just know that I'm at my I'm just spread so thin. What the hell's the even point? But thank you for this, RJ. It's been wonderful hanging out with you. We'll talk again soon, and the next time you come on, I'm sure we'll have some other amazing deep dive topic prepared.
All right, cool.
All right,
thanks, guys.
Be well. RJ Williams, everybody, go check out his Substack, and this is definitely it's one of those shows that I was really happy that we had it lined up for today. I'm happy that we had it lined up for today as you welcome to my lair. Everything's so much darker in here right now. I don't know what happened to this light. It's not dead. I tried to turn it on and off remotely a few times, and I guess I'm just over here in my dim little cave, and you're going to have to just get over it. That's what we have. Okay, 826. Let me see what's going on in the chat. Oh, by the way, in the chat rooms, everybody, we're building up toward another Thursday giveaway. I've got Cultivate Elevate's Lion Manes capsules, the Reishi Turkey Tail capsules from Cultivate Elevate. I've got a bottle of olive oil from a 1,000-year-old olive grove out there in Greece that was sent to me. It's absolutely fantastic, and Aurora and I are doing well. If you're coming to the spring fling, you'll be able to taste it, because I'll be dribbling it out onto everybody as walks through the door. I'm going to baptize you as you walk through. What was that oily substance that just splashed me in the face? It was olive oil from a 1,000-year-old tree. Welcome to the spring fling. I've also got silver you're going to get, and I had one of Anne Bellinger, one of Anne's books. Throwing that in there too, and I have more. So throw in for super chats. We definitely need the support. We need your support as sponsors. We need you in big ways. And when I say in big ways, I mean $5 a month as a sponsor goes a incredibly long way. If we can just marshal 5% of this audience, we've done so much on just about 2. If we can marshal 5% of this regular audience, who I show up for every day with bells on because I love it, that $5, I swear to God, I'll love you back so hard. It will be like, oh my gosh, I've never been loved for $5 like this before. What the hell was I thinking? What do you want me to say? Okay, let's see here. Jay Britt says it's a good thing that RJ turned from the dark side. You want that mind focused on good. No, he's on our side now, fellas and ladies. Crestmont Bear says, hey, Frank, something that was memory hold was the thousands of pounds of explosive material that went missing from that train. I want that olive oil, or maybe the name, so I can acquire some myself. Well, Crestmont Bear was here for the Jamboree. I don't know if he's coming in spring, but in the event that he does not win the olive oil, it's Pylean Estates. You can go on to the Quite Frankly, the Instagram, and I have the whole gift package that was sent to me there. And I went after the fact and I found them and I tagged them, and they actually commented there. So you can click through. They're on Instagram. Beautiful stuff that they post. Beautiful stuff they post. Makes me wish that I can just snap my fingers, take all my family and my closest friends, and just implant us in a stable way on the countryside of one Mediterranean paradise or another, and just eat nothing but goat cheese and olive oil and fresh breads for the rest of our lives. That's all I care about. That's all I want. That's all. I don't want too much. I want to be able to, I just want to be able to, A, get to the point where I can hire a couple of full-time helpers, full-time employees. That's what I need. I need full-time production help. Can't stand pussyfooting the way cobbling this shit together. We got to compete. That's the other thing. All I won't care about is employing a couple of people, paying for this studio and having a good time with the audience, and being able to eat some fresh bread and some goat cheese. That's all I give a shit about. To be able to at any point say, I'm going, where Lauren goes, where are you going? I'm going to go get some more bread. And not care about anything except, anybody want some bread? You want to dunk it in some olive oil? That just seems like such a relaxing life. It's 7 o'clock. What are you doing? Oh, I have to go do my show. I'm blessed beyond measure. Do my show. I have a wonderful audience. We talk about interesting shit. And then the rest of my life is just, olive oil and fresh bread. Maybe a little ricotta. Ricotta cheesecake. Just a little bit of that kind of like lemon, that hit of lemon at the citrus hit. Good Lord. Some of the best things in life. Some of the best things. But yeah, the thousands of pounds of explosives. You remember what that was? That was an ammonium nitrate. It was about, what did they say? It was 30 tons? Like 30 tons of ammonium nitrate. And they said that it was that the whole thing showed up empty. And I think the final thing that they concluded was that it's not like somebody took the ammonium nitrate and they made it disappear in some kind of a David Copperfield level magic act where he made the Statue of Liberty disappear. But he took, that it actually leaked out. That's not like the entire train car with all that explosive material, fertilizer, whatever the hell it was taken somewhere, smuggled, or was hidden away for some grand firework experience that was being planned sometime around. I think that the final conclusion was that the train car had a significant leak in it, and that there was no foul play or anything like that, and the leak was unintentional, and that they ultimately didn't care. They said there was nothing that was wrong with it because A, it's fertilizer. It was being used on crops anyway. But B, it was being splashed along the train tracks, and it was just, it didn't have any kind of environmental issue. So yeah, for a while, we were like, where did 30 tons of explosives go? Potential explosives go. It leaked all along the West Coast. All right, we got a little bit more on David Wilcox. This was, let me see here. Somebody said this because he was live just last night. This was just after 4:30 p.m. David signing off. What happened in less than 24 hours? That is what they're saying right here.
Kiko says, nice to see you in a good mood today, David. It lifts our spirits. Meditation, vibing together, shines so bright. Great show yet again. Much love to us all. Thank you very much, Kiko. Eden Hollander says, thank you, David. Walking Tree says, arigato. Midnight Mark, great meditation, great show. Love you, brother. Glad I got done early and could catch most of it. You can come in and get the rest later. Saving the best for last. The end won't be for everyone. I think it's possible that he was sacrificing his reputation for the sake of the plan, just like Batman in the movie The Dark Knight. Thank you so much, David, for your time, effort, and energy. Ghost of Adi, you are now cleared for liftoff. Appreciate that very much. Awesome show, David. Keep the light flowing and keep the faith. Sofa King, that was beautiful. Thank you for another great show, says Vicky Cornwall. Venus Renata, so it is, amen. Thank you guys so much. I really love you and appreciate you guys. I'm so glad that you're here, guys and girls. We will see you on the next time around. And I am so grateful, and we'll do the typical lead out here. And A-N-D, not E-N-D, and scene. There we go. All right, you guys. Thank you so much.
Listen, that's the first time I've actually watched anything from David in many years, and the fact that that was the last dissolve. That was the final dissolve. Is that sucks. Now listen, that kind of a strong sign off, the gratitude and everything else, that anybody who's dealt with depression knows that doesn't mean that in 12 hours it's not possible for you to have a complete fucking bipolar meltdown. It's possible that within just an hour or so of this sign off, a person in David's position could feel like they are at a dead end and they feel worthless. And of course it's not real, but who knows what he's dealing with. It's awful. So we'll see what the hell happens, but the whole, what happened in less than 24 hours. Oh, a lot could happen. A lot could happen in 60 minutes. So definitely going to be sensitive to the situation, but see what is reported on, and especially what people who followed him more closely come up with. And he seemed very happy, but I'm not. I know depression. I think everybody has felt that, has been touched by it at some point. And I have had to do shows through really rough moments and transitions in life and all that other stuff. And, people coming and going and people being sick or whatever the hell it is. And I pull it together and I put on a community face. Some nights I'm a little bit more moody than others, but that gratitude is real. The relief that somebody like David probably had, if this was something that he was dealing with off air, the relief that somebody in his position, my position, get from being on air sometimes is good, because it forces you to get out of that other space and be a little bit more, plugged into a more gratifying space. And you could be a little bit more in touch with, and there's that energy exchange that's really kind of therapeutic at times. So, hey, yeah, I don't know, trying to be sensitive about it until you hear more. But I don't know. I just don't know. He's another one, like so many others, has also just put out there that he's not suicidal. I've seen so many clips, and like I said, I think he's picked up spots with a little bit more regularity on Coast to Coast over the years and stuff like that. Got a great audience. This is going to be really something to really sift through and see what people come up with. Hate to hear that shit. I really do. Let me see one more thing. Oh, there's a couple other things here too. As we've been live. Actually, right off, leading up to us going live tonight, we have the FBI director. Kash Patel has some things for us on the Southern Poverty Law Center, the SPLC, which is a terrorist organization, if I can be so bold. But I got a little bit more of your super chats over here, and I'd love to get around to those. But first, a very quick break. Fiddling with these again. BRB, hold on, because we're coming down the home stretch. Hey friends, I want your brain firing on all cylinders so that you're feeling sharp and ready to call into Quite Frankly at night. And Molly Rucker felt the same way, so she formulated Keto Brainz, the delicious, creamy C8 MCT-based keto creamer, Alpha GPC to boost memory and focus, Lion's Mane to spark nerve growth, L-theanine for calm alpha waves and jitter-free flow, and a solid dose of C8 MCT to flood your brain with clean ketone energy. Before Keto Brainz, getting these exact doses would run you at least $140 a month. Now, it's all been formulated into one delicious 30-serving bag for a mere $49.99. And when you use promo code APRIL, you get 15% off the top, plus entry into a massive $1,000 product raffle. So head over to KetoBrainz.com right now or check the link in the description. Keto Brainz, change your brain, change your life.
The first story I ever heard about him, I didn't believe it.
That's usually how it goes.
It wasn't about religion or preaching or God. It was about fish.
Another common theme.
It was an impossibly huge catch, Adams. But word of your miracles, or whatever, has spread all through Syria. And they start coming over here. Do you see my problem? No more draining my talent pool. Creating spectacles, crowds. No more meddling.
I cannot promise any of these things.
And I cannot promise you won't stop breathing.
Well, it sounds like we're clear on what we can and cannot promise.
Go, Jesus of Nazareth, I like you. We're on the same team, just don't make me kill you.
I won't make you do anything. But my father, on the other hand.
Okay, so a couple more things. We'll get to these FBI announcements. Let me see here. Awakened Boomer says, "Hi, Frank. Olive oil, mushrooms, and silver sound delicious." You got it. You got it, Grady. I got you. Nephilim says, "I bet that olive oil would make some fantastic Al Capone's walnut pasta. If you know, you know." Yes, and we've been talking a lot about that in other streams. Good to have you out there, Nephilim. Jay Semo says, "Cheers. Cheers to you as well." Cheers to you as well. Rumble has got to be the silver bullet. That has got to be the biggest untapped market. I don't know what the hell. I'm always trying to figure out what the hell's going on with YouTube, and I'm working very hard. We're making strides, and we are, reintroducing and introducing ourselves to new and old people. But very, very strange. Very strange. We have a nice little crew over there on YouTube, but it shouldn't be that little. Let's see. Let's see. One more I've got for you. Couple. Corey J. J.R. at the Lake. Tommy. This is all unpilled. Amethyst says, "Happy Tuesday, Frank." Safety Net says, "A wee bit of gold for the goal. Love you all very much." Thank you, Tommy. Is the casino in AOC's district? Yeah. You think? Can you imagine that? You know what? It just might be. I know she has portions of Queens and the Bronx, and a sizable portion. I'll have to look into that. Thank you. Thank you, DeKalb. Tommy says, "If the state cannot seize money, it works just as well to get citizens to surrender money." Tommy also says, "We've been time warped into the flip side. Time for bed." Silly Boar, listening while cutting grass. That sounds very, very relaxing. I haven't cut grass in a while. JR at the Lake. Thank you. Delona sent a fleet. We have a 10,000 gold pill a night goal over there that I really wanted to smash. We can really use it. It's a moderate goal, and these people, I'm telling you, Pilled works overtime. That is an incredible crew over there. It's a wonderful chat room. Thank you, guys. Delona with a sleeve of cookies. JR says, "Oil me up." Crickles says, "St. Anthony, don't be a loser." Vesper says, "If I win, I promise I won't blow it at the casino." Delona sends a phone. Mulberry says, "Will that olive oil make me Italian as well?" Yes, it will. It'll help you. It will help you. It's the first thing you could do. especially if you take it IV, intravenous. So the executive producer's ice cream fund is now an olive oil fund, says Tommy Jekyll. Yes, the executive producer being Aurora. That's the way it works. Thank you, Sean Joe. Crickle says, we're so close to 10K. And Amethyst Cat and Ginster doing the best they can. Here, real quick, for Wired magazine, this guy EJ works for Wired, spoke to a med student in India. Spoke to a med student, smoked them. Spoke to a med student in India who made thousands of dollars duping MAGA fans by creating a blonde AI influencer named Emily Hart. Here's how he did it. First of all, EJ working for Wired, probably just looking for a reason to dunk on anybody who identifies as MAGA, because this is probably taking everybody. Who's more willing to? Who do you think has a bigger concentration of Coomers out there, the left or the so-called right? Okay, so I'm sure that Democrats are jerking it to God knows how many. From anime on up or down. Here's how they did it. Sam wanted to make a little extra cash, so he fed an image of Sydney Sweeney into a custom ChatGPT tool to make Emily Hart, a 20-year-old nurse based in New York City who loves Christ, beer, and ice fishing. Yeah. And what does she do? Emily Hart account blew up. Every reel I posted was getting 3 million views, 5 million views. I haven't seen any easier way to make money online. He attributes his success to following the MAGA crowd is made up of super dumb people, they say, and they fall for it. Now, what is it? Is it an OnlyFans? Or is it what? It's not. He also started an account for Emily Hart on Fansly, which is how he made most of the money. Insta didn't monetize her account. He regularly DM'd with horny men who followed her, sending AI-generated bikini pics. Well, hey, listen. This is going to get everybody. But of course, EJ over here working for Wired is going to try to find a way to in a pathetic way, try to dunk on MAGA, which for some people is the culmination of right wing. So Wired is for kind of boomer brained people anyway too. It's just nuts. AI is pretty decent at generating jugs. I wish I was good at it. Sometimes I wish I was good at AI. I would definitely have an AI chick account on OnlyFans just to make a little extra money off of those retards who are ready to empty their wallets for toenail clippings. That is just like where things are going. It's just so pathetic. It's just so pathetic. Oh my gosh. Talk about cherry picking. Talk about having absolutely nothing to do journalistically and then cherry picking this to try to make it political. It's just nuts. Okay, Nick Sorter is reporting. Holy crap. FBI Director Patel says leftist NGO Southern Poverty Law Center, which has now been indicted, was using donor to pay leaders of the Ku Klux Klan to stage hate crimes. What? Non-white liberals are Ku Klux Klan now? What are the hate crimes? I would love to know. They use fraudulently raised money by lying to their donor networks, thousands of Americans, to go ahead and actually pay the leadership of these supposed violent extremist groups. Furthermore, our investigation revealed that the Southern Poverty Law Center, on top of perpetrating this widespread decade-long multi-million-dollar fraud, conducted more criminal activity. They attempted to hide their criminal activity from our financial banking network. Let's take a listen to this. I want to listen to the whole thing. One second.
What the general just told you. The Southern Poverty Law Center, in a massive, sweeping indictment, has been charged with allegations of fraud and using the banking system to perpetrate that fraud. I just want to talk about a couple of brief things here. The Southern Poverty Law Center themselves advertise to raise money to dismantle violent extremist groups for a period of at least a decade. They use their donor network to raise money to purportedly dismantle violent extremist groups. However, the SPLC, the Southern Poverty Law Center, used the money they raised from their donor network to actually pay the leadership of these very groups. I just want to say that again. They used the fraudulently raised money by lying to their donor network, thousands of Americans, to go ahead and actually pay the leadership of these supposed violent extremist groups. The groups, as the general laid out, include the Ku Klux Klan, the United Klans of America, Unite to Right, National Alliance, the National Socialist Movement, the Aryan Nation Motorcycle Club, and the National Socialist Party of America, and also the American Front.
Oh, is that? Oh, I was waiting for that. American Front. Are those the guys that show up with the khakis on? American Front, or is that Patriot Front? American Front. No. Is this dangerous organization? The Patriot Front. Okay. I was waiting for something on that. Let's keep going.
In at least one of these matters, our investigation revealed that funds were used to facilitate the commission of further state and federal offenses, totaling over $3 million. Furthermore, our investigation revealed that the Southern Poverty Law Center, on top of perpetuating this widespread, decade-long, multi-million-dollar fraud, conducted more criminal activity. They attempted to hide their criminal activity from our financial banking network. They set up shell companies and entities around America so that the financial institutions that we rely on as everyday Americans were deceived in believing that money was not coming from the Southern Poverty Law Center in the perpetration of this scheme and fraud, but rather fictitious entities they stood up to perpetuate this ongoing fraud. This is a serious and egregious violation of a group that purported to dismantle violent extremist groups, but in turn actually only fueled the hatred. This is an important case brought by President Trump's administration. We're thankful for the president for his leadership and funding of not just the FBI and DOJ, but his commitment to go out there and wipe out fraud and conspiracy and waste and abuse.
Okay, well then, this is can't say it's bad. ACLU should be next. ADL. Let's start knocking on Act Blue's door. We all already have gotten. I mean, how much exposure of we got Nick Shirley in Minnesota and California. We've got Tyler Oliveira in New York and New Jersey with the Orthodox Jewish outcoves that are all completely unnecessary and illegal uses of welfare. Absolutely should. I mean, let's go. $3 million slush fund for Listen, I want the SPLC to be dismantled. I'd love to see people go to jail for a long, long time. That would be great. But let's be honest here. Whereas this is kind of like, wow, you actually have a paper trail from the SPLC to whatever the hell is left of the Ku Klux Klan, which I think official membership in the country is less than 500 in a nation of officially 330 million or so. So that's great. That's great. But we know that most people staging hate crimes are just doing it for the love of the game. They don't even know what direction the swastika goes in anymore. There's like, one end is touching the other end. It's all reversed and crisscrossed and shit like that. It's hilarious. That's one of my favorite memes with all the fake hate crime stuff that started coming out. There's a collection of like fucked up swastikas. People who are going out there to do something provocative and they're trying to plant it on somebody else and they didn't even know what direction the swastika went in and all the lines were crossed and it just looked like a bunch of nonsense, like a 2-year-old did it. And that is when the Heil Hortler thing started. It's like, who did this belong to? It couldn't be Hitler. So the internet made up a character called Hortler. Wait, hold on. Heil Hortler. Let me see where's the Hortler? Hail Hortler. Give it to me. Hold on a second. Wait, like this is the kind of stuff. These are the kind of flags that were being made because of all these fake hate crime people. They don't even know what the hell they do. They have one job. The left in this country has one job, and that is to compare everybody to Hitler and the Nazis, and they can't even get the direction of the swastika down. Give me the Hortler. Oh, no. The Hail Hortler, they're looking, look here. They all... I can't. They got... It's just too much. I love this. Like the Hortler memes on Tumblr were fantastic. Oh, here's another one. Wait, give me a second. My favorite thing about modern American Nazis is that they're too fucking stupid to even draw a swastika. If you think that these are Nazis, I mean, maybe some of them are, but a lot of the time it's just people writing it on their own garages to say, look, I've been hate crimed. I've been hate crimed. And we were checking out the FBI numbers there too. The FBI numbers, the hate crime accusations. They say that ever since 2016, the rise of Trump, the hate crimes went through the roof. They were all accusations. Most of them were never followed through because they were all faulty. So many of the people who were making the hate crimes were found to be the ones perpetrating themselves on themselves. How much was the SPLC or the ACLU or the ADL actually behind all of that stuff? Well, I mean, maybe some of it, but you don't really need to. You got all these stupid ass people out there who are doing it for the love of the game. So yeah, great. Break up the SPLC. That would be wonderful. They secretly funded more than $3 million. Wow. $3 million. Yes, put them away. Prosecute everybody. But $3 million? $3 million compared to what we have just been served up by multiple citizen journalists since right after Christmas? Please. All right, let's kick it up a notch. I want to see the entire state of Minnesota arrested. I know we have a lot of great Franklies out there. We're going to have to arrest you just for a couple of weeks to figure out who's who. Don't worry. If you haven't done anything wrong, you have nothing to worry about. But we have to arrest the entire state of Minnesota. We'll eventually get around to New York. I'll have myself arrested. I'll be arrested with everybody else too. It'll be 2 weeks to figure out who's who. It'll all be worth it. Trust me, I'm not taking myself out of the equation here. So there you have that's from the Justice Department. Indictments against the SPLC. That's what I got. All stage. Hortler. Hail Hortler. I love that damn meme. I really do. Hey guys, wherever you're watching the show, give it a like, leave a comment, especially if you made it this far in the reruns. Leave a comment and share it with somebody. This is supposed to be one of these shows is supposed to be an evergreen night for things that are outside of the realm of politics. Tomorrow night we're going to have Alberto and Vinny in the studio, and we'll be talking about things that are going on out there, things going on in the world, in our lives. I really hope that we're able to draw in the audience for some calls. It would be great. And I think it's going to be a wonderful night of discussion. And then on Thursday night, I'm still holding out hope that we'll have 1 or 2 guests in the studio. So that's all I got for you. Spicy Chemist on Twitch says, good evening from West Michigan. Michigan's next. But thank you, Chemist. It's great to have you on there. That's a subscriber from Prime. Remember, you can subscribe to a couple of things real quick. Twitch, all of you guys and gals who are subscribed to the show through Twitch, remember, you get all the universal perks of sponsorship as well. Your Twitch account will get you into the Cigars and Brandy private room on the Discord, the Quite Frankly Discord. In the Cigars and Brandy private room, that is linked for Patreon, Subscribe Star, whatchamacall, also, shit. What else? Well, I guess Twitch. Anyway, in that room, I have pinned to the top of the room in the pinned comment is always the most recent members only blog for the Quite Frankly TV members only blog section. That's where we're able to mirror stuff that we put on Patreon and Subscribestar for various other places, including Pilled and everywhere else. Don't miss out on things like Book Club and Film Club. In May, we're going to watch 2 more awesome movies. We're going to watch As Good as It Gets and Constantine. So that's awesome. That's enough reason in itself to become a sponsor for $5. But just remember, Twitch, you've got a lot more coming your way if you are a monthly sponsor there. Make sure you get onto the Discord, get your access into that cigars and brandy room, and get your access to the members only section. So thank you so much. Okay, that's it. That's it for tonight. You guys have been wonderful. I'm jumping over into the flip side right now. See you tomorrow night, 7 o'clock. Thank you. We're not done yet, though. Come over to quitefrankly.tv or take a look in the chat room. I'm dropping the link right now. All the best to you, and thanks again to RJ Williams for joining me tonight.
I'll catch you on the flip side.
Quite Frankly is filmed before a live studio audience, and now our super chatters. Thank you to those of you out there hanging with me, Spicy Chemist, and Jay Britz, Crestmont Bear, and those of you on Rumble and Unpilled. Going to get around to thanking you a little bit more intimately in a few moments. Come to the flip side. I'm putting the link in the description right now, but if you can't find that link, just go to quitefrankly.tv, press play. We'll be there waiting for you. All right, guys. Love you all.
Goodbye.
All right, that's it. Thanks, everybody.